Climate change is one of the most concerning issues in this 21st century. Climate change can be referred to as long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. As the weather patterns and temperatures change drastically, it will ultimately lead to many catastrophes known as climate disasters, which have occurred all around the world. These intense climate-related disasters include floods, storms, droughts, and heat waves. Among all the climate-related disasters, floods have shown a significant increase globally in terms of frequency and intensity. As the world temperature increases due to climate change, more water evaporates from the land and oceans, which will alter the rainfall patterns. Thus, the atmosphere contains more moisture, leading to more extreme and frequent rainfalls. In the light of this issue, the United Nations (UN) has launched an initiative named the Sustainable Development Goals, which is SDGs. Some of the goals related to the catastrophe are zero poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, clean water and sanitation. Malaysia is also affected by the flood caused by the climate change. The frequent occurrence of floods in Malaysia may impact a lot of sectors, especially in terms of society. Therefore, in this research, the perspective that became the focus is the impacts of the climate-related floods on the society in Malaysia.
For problem statement, there are three main problems that need to be highlighted here. First main problem that need to be highlighted here is why Malaysia experiences flood every year. This problem statement occurs because it seems like there are no action that taken by the government to solve this problem and what is the main cause of this flood. Next is what is the impact of flood towards the community that faces flood. We want to do research on the impact of flood related to SDG that will be affected by this issue. Lastly, how well informed Malaysia are about floods that occur in Malaysia. Since the number of Malaysian people that had an experience on flood is less, we want to investigate how is their level of awareness on flood. Did they know about the flood prevention plan? All the SOP that they need to follow if they face with flood? And the action that need to be taken when facing with flood. This is the crucial things that not taken seriously by the people. There are three research questions that we choose to find the answer along the research. First research question is, what is the effective way to overcome floods? Since the flood in Malaysia seems will not come to the end, we want to look for an answer on how to overcome flood to prevent for many losses happen. Next, how is the community perception of floods happening in the 21st century? This is important as we want to know did the community aware on the flood happen around them, either it is increasing or decreasing, and the number of deaths because of flood. Lastly, what is the impact of flood on SDGs goal? We need to analyze SDGs goal that will be affected by this issue, and it will be easy for us to help to overcome it since we want to make this world to become a better world.
Flooding will eventually occur due to severe changes in weather patterns and temperatures. In order to raise public awareness and education about floods, this study looks at how floods affect society and how to prepare for or solve the issue. A careful examination of these effects on society will disclose, emphasize, and analyze the impact of the flood. Additionally, based on various scholarly peer-reviewed publications, This study will clarify how well individuals understand floods and the extent to which they affect their victims. In this context, our research will increase public awareness of why floods are a problem, why we should be aware of them, and why we should have a solid plan to lessen their impact on society. Additionally, this conclusion does incorporate data from a range of age groups. In the future, the overview provided in this study will help to push for new paradigm that will be useful for discussions on people's experience with floods, how floods affect society, the rising number of victims, how Malaysia managed the problem of flooding, people awareness of floods, and their knowledge of flood safety precautions.
For data 1, question 1 is asking the respondents about their age. 38 respondents are 18 to 20 years old, 1 respondent is 21 to 23 years old, and 1 respondent is 25 years old and above. Therefore, as you can see from the pie chart, all of the respondents are 18 years and above. Therefore, we can say that the data represent the opinions of young adults in Malaysia whose age is 18 years and above. For data 2, question 2 is asking the respondents about the states of their origin. As you can see from the pie chart, majority of the responses come from Kedah, Terengganu, Selangor, Perak and Kelantan. There are also responses from Negeri Sembilan, Pahang, Melaka and Wilayah Persekutuan Kuala Lumpur. These states are highly affected by flood every year, especially during the monsoon season. For example, Kelantan and Terengganu face floods every year because of heavy rain and drainage problem. For data 3, question 3 is asking the respondents whether they have experienced flood before in their area. As you can see from the pie chart, 24 respondents have experienced a flood in their area, 16 respondents have never experienced a flood before in their area. So from this data, the data mainly shows the opinion from Malaysian citizens that have no experience about floods and their impact to the society. Data 4. Question 4 is asking the respondents whether they realize how big the impact of floods on society is. 38 respondents said that they realize how big the impact of floods on the society, while the other 2 respondents don't realize it. This data shows that the young adults in Malaysia already recognize that flood affects the society in Malaysia in such a various ways. Next, for data 5, question 5 is asking the respondents whether they know about the safety precaution relating to the floods. From the pie charts, 34 respondents realize about the safety precaution relating to floods, while 6 respondents still do not know about the safety precaution during any flood. So the data shows that Malaysians already know the safety precaution when flood happens in their area. Therefore, if flood occurs, they will know what to do to survive the disasters, such as move immediately to higher ground, continue to check the media for emergency information, evacuate if necessary, and only take essential items.
Hello guys, for data number 6, Malaysia become more frequent and extreme. Actually, in pie chart, we have 7 strongly agree, 27 agree, 4 neutral, and 2 disagree. So, actually only 2% or 2 respondent, which is choose the disagree, is correct. Why? Because from 2010 till 2015, it is have the increasing part. But in 2016 until 2018, we have the decreasing of the flood, number of flood. Therefore, number of flood in Malaysia is starting to decrease, not starting to increase. If that climate change affect the increasing frequency and intensity of flood in Malaysia, there are about majority of the respondents agree, with the 18 strong agree, 18 agree, and 4 neutral. For their response, it is correct. Why? Because for now, Malaysia have the increasing of the temperature and make it the evaporation of the water or from the ocean increase. Therefore, it make the rainfall increasing too, and it make the heavy rain become more drastic. Therefore, it can lead for the heavy flood. For data number 8, which is in my opinion, the occurrence of flood causes increased number of victims being hospitalized. So, from this answer or from this question, we have 20 strongly agree, 10 agree, and 10 neutral. And they are correct. Why? Because of in 2014 disaster, which is the flood in Kelantan, there are about 2002 victims were hospitalized in Kelantan, and this is that data show us that there are increasing of the hospitalized person. For data number 9, which is I believe that heavy flood increases number of poverty towards the affected society, there are about 9% strongly agree, 28 respondents agree, 3 neutral. So overall is say agree with this statement. Actually they are correct. Why? Because of nowadays heavy flood destroy a lot of things, a lot of infrastructure in Malaysia, and it may destroy a lot of things and make the fall income of us. Therefore, it can lead for the poverty. For data number 10, which is in my opinion, the flood has caused many farmers to lose crops and livestock, which lead to poverty. From this question, we have 22% strongly agree, 15 agree, 2 neutral, and 1 disagree. And there are a majority of them agree with this statement, and they are correct. Why? Because in 2022, there are heavy flood in Setiu, Terengganu, and destroy a farmers or a watermelon farm, and make the watermelon farmers suffered a huge loss, and from this situation it can lead to the poverty. For data number 11, which is I believe that flood does affect quality education to a student. From this question, we have 15 strongly agree, 19 agree, 5 neutral, and 1 disagree. Therefore, from this question, there are majority of them agree with this statement, and they are correct. Why? Because of in 2015, in January of 2015, there are a heavy flood in Kelantan and Terengganu, and it make us or a student delaying their opening of their school, and they will affect their motivation and also concentration that lead to the quality of education. For data number 12, which is I believe that flood caused disruption to the school facilities, preventing the student and teachers to come to school, there are 24 strongly agree, and 16 agree with this statement, and make it 100% agree with this statement. They are correct. Why? Because in Malaysian neighbors, which is Philippines, there are a lot of damage because of the flood in terms of school facilities, which is chairs, room, and also textbook, and make it their education process affected.
Question 13 is asking the respondents whether Malaysia already has a systematic flood prevention plan and flood risk management system. 37.5% of respondents is neutral on the statement, meanwhile 40% believe that Malaysia is fully prepared in preventing flood, and 22.5% is against the statement. This data shows that the respondents are mostly clear with the prevention plan in facing flood, but most of them are also indecisive about the statement, making them neither agreeing nor disagreeing with it. Next, we move to data 14. Question 14 is asking respondents whether Malaysia already has a sufficient empty land to sustain flood, simultaneously preventing it from affecting residential area. 42.5% of respondents is neutral on the statement, meanwhile 47.5% believe that Malaysia is fully prepared in preventing flood, and 10% is against the statement. This data shows that respondents are neutral, mostly concerned with the available empty land that can sustain flood from hitting land properties, but most of them are so inconclusive about the statement, making them neither agreeing nor disagreeing with it. Next, we move to data 15. Question 15 is asking respondents whether Malaysia has prepared enough embankments dam to sustain flood. 42.5% of respondents is neutral on the statement, meanwhile 27.5% believe that Malaysia is fully prepared in preventing flood, and 30% is against the statement. This data shows that most of the respondents is hesitant and against the statement, meanwhile only minority of them is clear about the initiative taken to prevent and minimizing flood impact. Now let's talk about data 16. Question 16 is asking respondents about the effectiveness of smart tunnel in Kuala Lumpur in order to manage flood in the area. 75% of respondents support this statement, meanwhile 17.5% is neutral about the effectiveness of smart tunnel in preventing flood, and only 7.5% is against the statement. This data shows that most of the respondents are clearly approved the effectiveness of smart tunnel, meanwhile only minority of them is uncompromised with the initiative. Now, let's move to data 17. Question 17 is asking respondents whether Malaysia has a proper sewerage system in each households and factories. Only 32.5% of respondents supports this statement, meanwhile 22.5% is neutral, and 45% of respondents have contrasting opinion on the proper sewerage system in households and factories. This data shows that most of the respondents are strongly against the accessibility of proper sewerage system, meanwhile only minority of them accept the availability of the initiative.
So, for the conclusion, as we know, climate change can lead to heavy flood in Malaysia. It can affect Malaysians in terms of poverty and also quality of education. Heavy flood in certain areas can cause some sector to shut down, such as agriculture sector. Agriculture sector is one of the biggest sector that contribute to our economy. If this sector is shut down, it will affect our economy, which lead to poverty. Next, heavy floods such as in Terengganu, Kelantan and Kedah will affect the quality of education in Malaysia. The use of school building in the nearby areas as an evacuation center will badly affect their education, and also heavy flood does a major disruption to the school facilities such as chairs, tables and books. As a result, the student may be need to conduct their study through online. Some suggestion that we can come up is that government should do a campaign about climate change disaster and its effect to a society. Government also need to come up a plan to build a specific building for evacuation sector as to reduce the use of school facilities. The other way is the use of social media as a medium to spread awareness about flood to public could lead to preventing flood from worsening. And to sum it all up, government and citizens should work together as one society that can come up a way to prevent flood in Malaysia. Also, we need to prepare more skill and knowledge in dealing with this problem. Thank you.